Hello everybody, you have tuned in to Eric Jose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover virtually any aspect of making a murderer. I go over the evidence, the documents, the photos. So if you like, stay tuned, and in the future I'll have many more videos besides the one you're about to see. Hey everybody, how you doing today? Doing a segment here today that I think I'm going to start calling Keystone Coppers. I've got a couple of them kind of prepared here, but this one is the one I'm finishing today. I might possibly get to a second one today. We'll see. But anyways, I'm going to call it the Keystone Coppers segment, and it's going to be basically dealing with, the way we see law enforcement and deputies on the stand in this case, and the uncomfortable moments that they really go through and put themselves through. For instance, in this video here, we're going to see right now coming up where Jerry Buting is questioning Deputy Tyson from Calumet, and Deputy Tyson is very consistent, saying, I was informed that they weren't supposed to be alone on the property. They weren't supposed to be anywhere alone, and if they found anything, I was to immediately collect. I mean, he's going on and on about how he understands it. Then eventually it gets to the point where Jerry brings up the bedroom where the key was found, and suddenly Tyson changes what he's been saying all along, and suddenly says, "Oh, well, we didn't know we weren't supposed to be in there," or something like that. It's like, what, dude? You just said that you were informed that these deputies were not to be left alone. You somehow think that wouldn't have pertained to Stephen's bedroom? Like, what? Anyways, so that is a little bit odd with him. So these are the kind of things I'm talking about with these officers, that they're just a little bit odd. And so we're going to be calling attention to that. Also, we're going to be featuring, everybody's favorite comedian here, Deputy Kucharski. Well, at least my favorite, because, man, this guy makes me laugh. Anyways, we'll get right into it with the segment I am now calling the Keystone Coppers segment. So enjoy.
That no Manitowoc County deputy should be alone on the property. Investigator Wiegert told me my responsibility would be to go with them into the Steve Avery trailer and to document what they were doing, and if evidence was seized by them, to take custody of all the evidence.
Now, you said that you were teamed up with other officers. Do you remember who was in your team?
Yes, it was Lieutenant Jim Lenk from the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, Sergeant Andy Colburn from the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, and Detective Dave Remaker from the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department.
You knew that the district attorneys told those officers not to be alone on any property, right?
Mischaracterization, Judge. You said the Manitowoc County District Attorney.
I don't particularly care which district attorney. It's a district attorney, all right? You knew that.
Yes.
And you knew that if anything, of all the places that they should not be alone, it would be in Mr. Avery's trailer, right?
We did not know that on that day.
Mr. Avery was the one who was suing them, right? You knew that?
I was aware of that fact, yes.
You knew that, that's right. And you knew that's why Manitowoc transferred authority over to Calumet, right?
Yes.
It was because of this man right here, right?
I believe that's correct.
And it was this man right here's trailer that you were in.
Yes.
And so that, of all places, you knew was important that you make sure that these Manitowoc officers not be alone.
Correct.
And so you kept an eye on them, didn't you?
I was watching what they were doing, yes.
Okay, so I just find that part just kind of odd, because, he's answering so consistently, and then suddenly Jerry talks about Stephen's bedroom, obviously where the key was found, and suddenly he's like, oh, wait, well, nobody told us we weren't supposed to be there, or something to that effect. And it's like, are you serious, dude? Are you kidding me? Really? Anyways, whatever. It's just one of those things that stands out to me as odd. I don't necessarily think that deputy had any ill will. He clearly understood that he was supposed to watch those deputies, and he did. Even though he was, for some strange reason there, feigning ignorance that Stephen's bedroom was also somewhere where he needed to watch MCSD. It's a little bit strange, but anyways.
Had you ever, in any other search in your entire career, had to act like a babysitter or a watchdog for the officers who were conducting a search?
No.
This was a first for you, wasn't it?
Yes.
And would you agree with me that it would have been very difficult for Lieutenant Link or Sergeant Colburn to have planted a Toyota key in that residence under your watch?
I believe it would have been difficult.
Because you were watching them.
To the best of my ability, yes.
You were not with Mr. Link and Mr. Colburn when they re-entered Stephen Avery's residence on November 8th, were you?
That's correct.
And that is the occasion when a key was found, right?
That is my understanding.
Did you believe that either Lieutenant Link or Sergeant Colburn had an opportunity out of your eyesight to plant that key there?
No, they did not.
How can you be so sure?
Okay, now we're going to get into Mr. or Deputy Kucharski, who, by the way, it seems that not only can Colburn not get his name correct, but also Kratz also gets his name badly wrong, but which I find amusing, but that's not the thing I find the most amusing about Kucharski. I think some of you may know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to have a great bit of fun here at his expense. So I hope you all find it funny, but here we go. We're going to move into his testimony now.
Well, first of all, they would have had to have the key. I think the only person that would have had the key was the person that killed Teresa.
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
The court will order the answer stricken.
He's great, man. He is so awesome. He's just the comic gift that keeps on giving.
I want you to limit your comments to your observations. What about your observations do you believe it was impossible or improbable for them to plant that key?
My actual observations, I would have to say that it could be possible, as in I was doing other things. I was taking photographs. I was searching the nightstand. So if we're just limiting it to if it was possible that they could do it without me seeing it, I would say, yes, I guess it is possible.
I actually do feel a little bit sorry for this guy, man. He had no idea. They did not let him in on what was, obviously. They did not tell him about the conflict of interest. They didn't clue him in at all because he is completely just, he doesn't know how to account for this. He's like, this is all just completely bewildering to him. So you know for sure that nobody informed him that he was supposed to be watching these Manitowoc County deputy officers, or deputies. And watching him try to account for it is hilarious. And we're coming up on the best bit, of course.
And is that in the sense of anything's possible?
That's in the sense of it's possible aliens put it there, I guess.
All right.
I knew it. It's always aliens. So now Kucharski is ratting out his alien buddies, So now Kucharski's not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Sorry, I'm just having way too much fun with this guy, obviously, but he really does make it easy.
There weren't any aliens in the room, right?
Not that I know of.
So it being possible in the same way that aliens are possible really isn't a fair characterization of what you meant, is it?
I don't understand.
All right, let me try it this way. You were not told at the beginning of that shift that your function was to be a watchdog for Mr. Link and Mr. Colburn, were you?
That's correct.
I take it never occurred to you that a law enforcement officer would plant evidence, did it?
No.
That was not on your radar, was it?
No.
And what we do know is that when you came into that bedroom the first time, there was no key on the floor, was there?
That's correct.
The theory was then that this key and the cloth fob and the plastic buckle somehow managed to come out that back corner, walk around the side and lay like that. Right?
Object, Judge, it's a mischaracterization.
Well, that's up to the witness to answer. I'll allow the question.
The bookshelf was pulled away, turned, searched, and it was reasonable that while it was turned away, it fell into that area.
Okay. But you didn't hear it hit the floor whenever it got there, right?
Correct, the floor is carpeted.
Well, can I drop it on the floor here?
What are we doing, Judge?
We're
Is
testing.
this an experiment in front of the jury? If it is, then we need to replicate the conditions.
That's fine. We'll hold off on that. The bookcase hasn't come in, so I don't know if they intend to introduce it or not, but it's not here.
Okay, that's going to do it for this first segment of Keystone Coppers. The next segment is going to deal with Colburn and what his testimony as to what happened in the bedroom, in Stephen's bedroom there, and finding the key. But hey, anyways, these Keystone Copper segments are probably going to do a couple of them. I may end up doing even more later on, but I have at least 2 or 3 of them lined up for right now. So I may do the second one today or later on tonight, or I may do it tomorrow. But anyways, I'm just doing these for fun in a lot of ways, but they're also educative. You can see the way that these guys are kind of squirming on the stand, and it just looks, it doesn't look like they're being completely forthright. So I also find that interesting, but like I said, with Kucharski, I find it immensely hilarious. So that's about it for this one. Stay tuned for the next Keystone Copper segment. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe.